now, and then we can now kind of steer towards Buckethead, because when I was with my first label, the first signing that I had was with Narada Records. And at that time, they were kind of a new age label. And then when they signed my band, my duo, we were sort of their first global artist. They wanted to go more towards world music and, just do less. I mean, they wanted to do new age, but they wanted to sort of branch out. So we were their first artists, and they signed us, and it was such a successful album. And I think it was during the second album when we were recording that Virgin Records bought our label. So at that time, Virgin Records acquired several labels. I think it was 4 or 5 pretty successful indie labels, and Buckethead was on another label. I don't remember what his label was, but he had a duo. And so Virgin Records, when they signed this deal and acquired all the bands, they decided to put together a showcase tour. They handpicked 2 bands from each label that they had bought, and they took us on this European tour, just kind of showcasing the new bands of Virgin Records. So I just remember I showed up in the airport, and there were, this amazing 4 other bands, incredible people, incredible musicians. And there was Buckethead, and him and I, we just immediately clicked. He was just this shy, soft-spoken, gentle, just this sweet soul, and I just immediately was drawn to him. So over the course, we traveled to 3 countries. So over the course of that tour, we became friends, and we enjoyed, like, on our off time, we would just hang out. And I didn't even know that because when we would hang out, he didn't really wear the bucket or the mask. So I just had known him like that. And I remember the first big interview we gave, we were in Spain, and they asked all the artists to come. And there was about like 20 of us. And for us to sit in this huge circle, and they were going to do this interview with all of us at the same time. And then Buckethead shows up with a bucket and mask, and I was like, what is he doing? What is he? What's going on here? And then he sat down with the musician he was with, and then he would, the interviewer was asking us all questions, and then when it came to their turn, he wouldn't talk. And I was really confused. I was like, but he speaks so well, and he's just such a beautiful person. Like, why is he not talking?
Wow.
So after the interview, I remember, asking him, so is this like what you do? Like you don't show who you are and you don't talk? He was like, yeah, I don't like to do that. So that was my first sort of like, wow, this is, and I just thought, I didn't realize, honestly, at that point, I don't even think anybody did, like, he was going to become, it's not a joke to carry that title of the best guitarist in the world, I mean, many people will not dispute that title. And anyway, in 2005, so I became friends with Serj Tankian completely separately. We met a couple decades ago.
I got my System of a Down t-shirt on right now.
I know. I love that did you plan that?
I usually do, but this time I didn't.
I love it. See, it's this weird connection again, because actually that's where everything just sort of came back with Buckethead. Is then we lost touch for years, and then I was working at a bookstore at the beginning of my music career just to support myself. And one day Serj Tankian, a lot of people, famous artists came in there, and Serj Tankian came in one day, and we just got to talking, and I just told him, I was a big fan of his and I loved his activism. And he was like, I love your music. I have your albums. And then we became very close friends. And then he called me in 2004 or something. He said, you're friends with Buckethead. I'm producing an album for him. It would be great if you can sing on it because he loves your voice. And I said, oh, absolutely. So I went over. We got together with Buckethead, Serj and I. We met at Serj's house, and we just hung out one evening and just kind of reconnecting after a long time. And then Buckethead sent me that track, and I was just blown away. It's called Coma. It's from Enter the Chicken. And I just went over to Serj's studio one day, and I think we recorded that in less than an hour.
Oh, wow.
I just sang. And then Serj was like, oh, I hear this great harmony. And he came and did it. And it ended up being a huge song. You know, that song, just to this day, people write to me about it. I think that song, if people who know me through Buckethead either know me like you from my last announcement, or they knew me from the release of that song.
Right.
And it's so funny because when I made the official announcement about the album, a lot of people kept writing the same comment, and it was so hilarious to me. They called me, they're like, oh my God, it's Coma Girl. So that's become my, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna own this title, Coma Girl. You know, they're like, it's Coma Girl, now we know who you are.
Make that into a shirt. You got to make that into a shirt.
Exactly. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna own this title, you know. So anyway, I gave you the really long story, but that's like kind of all of it. So
I love it.
So this happened, the song came, and then again, we lost touch. And then I didn't realize, honestly, after Guns N' Roses, how huge he became. It's like that with your friends, you know, you don't think of them that way.
Okay,
until I
sure.
made this soft announcement. And then I was like, holy shit, you know, you can't talk about Buckethead like he's just an artist like that anymore. You know, it's something so big. And just, you know, he reached out to me recently. Actually, Serj's assistant wrote to me and he said, you know, Buckethead's trying to get in touch with you. You know, can I pass on your email? And I said, yeah, absolutely, you know. So then he called me. I sent my phone number and everything. He just called me and he said, do you want to make music together? And I said, hell yeah, you know, it's just effortless with us. He just sends me something. It's just something comes out, or it's so rare, that synergy with it. It happens. You're lucky if it happens once in your lifetime. And I've been lucky that it's happened to me with a few musicians in this world. And he's one of them, you know. He just sends me, and his playing is so soulful and lyrical. Just it kind of just pulls something out of me that I don't think any other guitar player ever has, you know. So then we just started doing this music, and it just, you know, we were like, you know what, let's make it an album. Let's just go for it. So we're doing it, and that's where we are, present day, you and I sitting and talking about this.
Wow, there is so much to unpack there. And I appreciate you sharing all that, because that is
all the miniseries in one shot.
I mean, yeah, because I mean, you're answering a lot of the things that I want to know, that listeners want to know. And She Whispers Trees is going to be the name of the album, right?
Yeah, well, it's the first single. We don't know the name of the album yet,
Okay.
because it all depends on, you know, we have to see where the full body of work goes. So She Whispers Trees is our first single, and we are currently working. We just finished the storyboard for the music video. So I think in about 3 weeks, by end of October, I'm going to make the official announcement for the release of the single and the music video.
Oh, awesome.
And it's such a beautiful song. I mean, both of us, we can't stop listening to it. And it's very intimate. That's all I can say is, you know, we're trying to keep, I don't know where the full album will go, but for now, we are kind of really enjoying this intimate interplay with just his playing and my voice.
I just want to make sure I say this, because we were talking about it before we started recording. You know, I've tried to get, I mean, who doesn't want to interview Buckethead? I've asked Brain before, but I wasn't even say this before, because the kind of interviewer I am. I'm like, because I don't want to pry into Buckethead's life, things that he doesn't want to share, because of course he is famously known for that. But I do appreciate, and just say yes, that you asked him that if you want to do an interview together to announce it, because you're saying, you were like, you're speaking for both of you guys. This is kind of like your first interview about this album.
Yes.
Kind of summarize what you're.
Yes, and I actually, when you sent me the interview request, I immediately called him and I said, look, you know, I got this interview request, and I'm sure that the interview is going to be mostly based around our project. So I said, first, would you like to do the interview, or are you still not doing interviews after all these years? And he said, no, I'm not doing them. And I said, well, are you okay if I talk about the project? He said, absolutely, you know, talk about it. I'm so proud of it. So, I mean, it's really a shame for me that he doesn't do interviews, because if people got to see and hear what a beautiful human being he is, you know, I really think, you know, when I talk with him, it becomes more and more clear to me why he is so private and protects himself, because I just think he's so pure and like, it sounds very, I don't want to sound, he's almost like too pure for this world. I just think the world could break him, you know. And he said something very beautiful to me once, when this announcement came out, and I was like, do you want me to send you? People are sending such nice messages. Do you want me to tell you what they are? Do you want me to send you messages? And he was like, I can't read anything, because I don't want anything to influence the music that I make. I want it to just be such a pure expression. Wow. That I don't want good or bad things to influence me in that way.